The morning I signed the papers to call Arav my husband, my hands were trembling not with love but with fear, because sometimes life pushes us into decisions we never imagined making, and all we can do is hope our hearts will learn to breathe inside them. I was a simple schoolteacher, living a quiet life filled with lesson plans, old books, and the dreams my late parents once whispered into my ears. After they passed away, the world felt heavier, and the small apartment we shared felt too silent. When my landlord decided to sell the building and my job contract was at risk due to strict policies favoring married staff, I found myself standing at the edge of losing both my home and my livelihood. It was then that my cousin suggested an idea that sounded wrong, frightening, and yet strangely practical: a fake marriage, just on paper, until things settled. Arav was not a stranger, but he was not close either. He was a distant family acquaintance, quiet, respectful, and carrying his own burdens. He needed the marriage for different reasons, including family pressure and a job transfer that required a settled status. When we met to discuss it, there was no romance in the air, only awkward pauses, polite words, and the unspoken understanding that we were both desperate. We agreed on clear boundaries, mutual respect, and honesty, promising each other that this arrangement would never cross into lies that could hurt our values. On the day we became husband and wife in name, I remember looking at him and feeling nothing more than relief mixed with guilt, wondering what kind of story we were writing with such a fragile beginning. Living under the same roof changed things in ways I never expected. We shared space like two careful strangers, speaking softly, respecting each other's silence, and slowly learning each other's habits. Arav always made sure I had breakfast before leaving for work, leaving a simple note wishing me a good day. I would find myself cooking extra portions at dinner, telling myself it was only practical. Our conversations were small at first, about weather, work, and daily routines, but even in those simple exchanges, there was kindness. When I came home exhausted one evening, overwhelmed by the fear of losing my job despite the marriage, he listened without interruption, his presence steady, reminding me that I was not alone, even if our bond was only pretend. Time has a quiet way of softening walls. As weeks turned into months, I began to notice the small sacrifices Arav made, without ever mentioning them. He adjusted his schedule to walk me to the bus stop when my area felt unsafe, claiming it was on his way, though I knew it wasn't. He defended me gently but firmly when relatives questioned my abilities or choices, standing beside me as if it was the most natural thing in the world. In return, I found myself caring about his worries, his past disappointments, and the dreams he had buried under responsibility. We were still a fake couple to the world, but something real was growing in the quiet spaces between us. Misunderstandings, however, are part of every human relationship, and ours was no exception. One evening, I overheard a conversation where someone referred to our marriage as a temporary arrangement, and though it was true, the words pierced my heart in a way I did not understand at first. I withdrew, speaking less, smiling less, questioning why I felt hurt over something that was never meant to be permanent. Arav noticed the change immediately. Instead of confronting me with anger, he waited patiently, giving me space while still showing care. That patience taught me more about love than any grand romantic gesture ever could. When the truth finally came out in a quiet conversation filled with honesty and trembling voices, I realized how deeply we had begun to matter to each other. Arav admitted that the arrangement had started as a solution, but over time, it became something he feared losing. He spoke of respect, trust, and the unexpected comfort he found in our shared life. I confessed my confusion, my growing attachment, and my fear of admitting feelings that were never part of the plan. There were no dramatic declarations, just two people acknowledging emotions shaped by shared struggles and sincere companionship. Life tested us again when my job situation worsened, and the truth of our marriage faced scrutiny. We had a choice to walk away, to end the arrangement before it caused more complications, but instead, we chose honesty. Arav stood by me publicly, not because of obligation, but because he wanted to. That moment, when he chose me despite the risk, changed everything. I realized that love is not always loud or sudden. Sometimes it grows quietly through consistency, care, and shared resilience. The day we decided to make our marriage real was not marked by celebration or applause. It was a simple decision made over tea, with smiles filled with relief and eyes reflecting gratitude. We chose each other not out of need, but out of understanding. Our relationship was built on respect first, love later, and trust always. We learned that even arrangements born out of necessity can turn into blessings when handled with integrity and patience. Looking back, I understand now that life's hardships do not come to break us, but to reveal what we are capable of becoming. A fake husband became my real partner, not through romance alone, but through shared struggles, silent sacrifices, and unwavering support. Our story is not about pretending. It is about how sincerity can transform even the most unlikely beginnings into something meaningful. The lesson our journey leaves behind is simple yet powerful. When we treat people with respect and kindness, even in difficult situations, love finds a way to grow, reminding us that the strongest relationships are built not on perfect starts, but on honest hearts willing to stay.